Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, I checked out Eternals, the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, in this video, I will be giving my full honest spoiler review for this movie. I went into Eternals with an open mind. The critics rate this film as the worst MCU movie so far. But if you have been here on the channel before, then you know I don't care what critics think about Marvel, DC, or Star Wars films, as the movies aren't made for them. They are made for us, the fans. But I have to say, I do kind of agree with them. This movie was very disappointing. I went in with an open mind in the hope that they would pleasantly surprise me, and for the first half of the film, they did. In fact, the first half of the movie was very good, and I was really impressed by how good it was, but also really confused because I couldn't understand how on earth these critics would have ranked this film so low. But then, the second half of the movie felt like such a drag. I was looking at my watch to see how long was left, and I was working out what I haven't seen yet in the movie that I have seen in the trailer, in an attempt to work out how long was left. I'll start with the first half of the movie. I loved the opening scene. The action and choreography was unique, and I felt like I was absorbed into the screen. The entirety of the fight sequences and action were brilliant, and probably the best thing going for this movie. I loved how they displayed all the individual superpowers in a new way, and it was nice to see where the Eternals were in the modern day, and how they had adapted throughout history. If you know my thoughts on Man of Steel, then you know I liked how the story intertwined with how Clark grew up, and it is the same for this movie. I liked how the plot moved forward while still adding character development. It worked most of the time, however, I feel they used it too many times, and towards the end, it felt like they were trying to squeeze so much information into these flashbacks. On the thought of Man of Steel, I really did get some Superman vibes from Icarus, which makes sense as they are very similar characters. But when I saw the other Eternals fighting Icarus, I instantly thought of Superman versus the Justice League. Now that's not a criticism of the movie at all. When you have two characters that have very similar powers, both fighting the other heroes, then you are always going to compare them and see similarities between them. For me it is strange though how the first half of the movie was so strong, and then the second half was so poor. It was almost like the first half was the director's idea for the story, and then the second half, she was told that she had to make this film set up a future project in the MCU. The Celestial coming out of Earth felt a bit too big for a singular movie, if that makes sense at all. I liked how it was just the Eternals versus the Deviants and nothing much more, but then they started adding more and more information into the mix, and I felt like the story started to go all over the place, because they were setting up the Celestial's story. Now, I'm sure Kevin Feige knows what he is doing, and I'm sure this film will set up an incredible future story, with the Celestials and Eternals being involved, and I will look back at this movie once that story is told, and this film will look so much better. But that doesn't change the fact that this movie felt like it was trying to tell too much and set up other stories in just 2 hours and 37 minutes. I feel like a Disney Plus series that starts with them arriving on Earth and then ends with them setting up the future would have worked so much better. Instead, they crammed all this information into a movie when most of it was adding context to the modern day story whilst trying to set up new stories. The cast were very strong, and I thought they all complemented each other nicely. Their characters did the same. They were all well written, and it was nice to see them working together to take down the Deviants. My favourite character was Gilgamesh, but it was a shame to see him die. However, because I didn't see much of him, I wasn't too upset that he did die, and that's the problem when you try to cram so much into one movie, because when you kill off a character, it's not that impactful, because you've had little time to connect to them. The score did have some strong moments, however it never really felt like it took off. There were some moments where I thought the score was going to really rise and become powerful, but it didn't, which was quite underwhelming to me. As some of you may know, a good score can really improve my viewing experience of a movie, and unfortunately, the Eternal score really didn't help that. Overall, I would give this movie a 6 out of 10. The first half is an 8 out of 10, but the second half just drags it down. This is definitely not the worst MCU movie. I would just prefer to watch many other Marvel films over this one. It is a shame that I didn't love this movie, but if you did, then I'm so happy you enjoyed it, and I hope one day I can too. Like I said earlier, I'm sure Kevin Feige has a brilliant plan in place, which will boost my enjoyment of Eternals. But for the time being, Eternals is a 6 out of 10. Do make sure to let me know what you thought of Eternals and your ratings out of 10 in the comments below. But that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I hope to see you here again soon, so until then, have a great day. Bye!